Today, we're diving into the dark and twisted world of Little Red Riding Hood. You might think you know this classic story, but there's a lot more lurking in those woods than just a big bad wolf. We're going to explore the controversies and hidden meanings behind this seemingly simple tale. So, put on your red cape, grab a basket of goodies, and let's take a walk through the forest of Little Red Riding Hood's controversies. Little Red Riding Hood is a classic fairy tale about a young girl named for the red cape she wears. One day, her mother sends her to visit her sick grandmother who lives in the woods. On her journey, Little Red encounters a wolf who tricks her into revealing her grandmother's location. The wolf races ahead, eats the grandmother, and disguises himself as her to fool Little Red. When the girl arrives, she notices the wolf's unusual features, leading to the famous "what big eyes, ears, teeth you have" exchange. The story's ending varies in different versions. In Charles Perrault's early version, the tale ends tragically with the wolf eating Little Red. However, in the Brothers Grimm version, a huntsman rescues Little Red and her grandmother. The story typically serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of talking to strangers or straying from one's path. This tale has been adapted and retold countless times across various cultures, often with different interpretations and messages, making it a significant part of global folklore and children's literature. Let's start by peeling back the layers of this story, because Little Red Riding Hood is far from a straightforward children's tale. Charles Perrault's 1697 version, which many consider the first literary adaptation, is packed with sexual overtones and symbolism. The wolf isn't just a hungry animal. He's often interpreted as a metaphor for predatory behavior in society. And Little Red, she's not just a naive girl. She represents innocence on the cusp of adulthood. Even her iconic red cape has been subject to interpretation. Some scholars see it as a symbol of coming of age or a transition to adulthood. It's fascinating how a simple piece of clothing can carry so much meaning, isn't it? These hidden depths turn a simple cautionary tale into a complex narrative about growing up and facing the dangers of the world. Now let's talk about the darker elements of Little Red Riding Hood, because this story can get pretty grim, pun intended. Many versions of the tale contain some seriously graphic violence. We're talking about a wolf that eats not just Little Red, but her grandmother too. And it doesn't stop there. Some adaptations take it a step further into cannibalism territory, with Little Red unknowingly eating parts of her grandmother. Pretty disturbing stuff for a children's story, right? This level of violence has led to a lot of debate. Some argue that these dark elements are crucial to the story's cautionary message, while others believe they're too traumatic for young audiences. It's a classic case of how much is too much when it comes to teaching life lessons through storytelling. One of the most controversial aspects of Little Red Riding Hood is its messaging about personal responsibility. In many versions of the tale, the moral suggests that Little Red is at fault for talking to strangers. On the surface, this seems like a good lesson. Don't talk to strangers. But dig a little deeper, and it starts to look a lot like victim blaming. After all, should a child really be held responsible for the actions of a predator? This aspect of the story has sparked a lot of debate about how we teach children about danger and personal safety. It raises important questions about where we place responsibility in situations of potential harm. As Little Red Riding Hood spread across the globe, it took on new forms and meanings in different cultures. This global journey of the tale has led to some controversy about cultural appropriation and reinterpretation. How much can a story change before it loses its original essence? And who gets to decide what the right version is? These questions become even more complex when we consider how the story has been adapted in non-Western cultures. It's a fascinating example of how stories evolve and change as they travel. But it also raises important questions about cultural ownership and authenticity in storytelling. Over time, many versions of Little Red Riding Hood have undergone a process of sanitization. The darker, more violent elements have often been removed or toned down, especially in versions aimed at young children. This has led to a heated debate in the world of fairy tale scholarship. On one side, we have those who argue that sanitizing the tale makes it more appropriate for children and allows the core message to shine through. On the other side, Critics argue that this sanitization strips the story of its power and dilutes its important cautionary message. It's a classic case of the tension between protecting children and preparing them for the realities of the world. Now, let's put on our literary critic hats and look at some of the logical inconsistencies in Little Red Riding Hood. For instance, why doesn't the wolf just eat Little Red in the forest? Why go through the elaborate charade of impersonating her grandmother? These plot holes have been pointed out by critics and have led to numerous reinterpretations and adaptations of the story. Some versions try to explain these inconsistencies, while others simply embrace the fairy tale logic. It's a reminder that even classic stories aren't immune to scrutiny and that sometimes the flaws in a story can be just as interesting as its strengths. As society changes, so do the morals we draw from our stories. Little Red Riding Hood is a perfect example of this. Different versions of the tale reflect the values of the time and place in which they were told. Modern adaptations often focus more on themes like personal empowerment or awareness of stranger danger, moving away from the more traditional morals about obedience and caution. This evolution of the story's message shows how fairy tales can be flexible, adapting to teach the lessons each generation deems most important. So there you have it, the tangled web of controversy surrounding Little Red Riding Hood, from its hidden sexual symbolism to its dark themes, from questions of responsibility to cultural adaptations. This simple fairy tale is anything but straightforward. It's a reflection of our changing society, a complex narrative that's open to multiple interpretations, and a story that continues to spark debate today. The next time you hear this tale, or any fairy tale for that matter, remember that there's often more going on beneath the surface. These stories have the power to shape our understanding of the world, for better or worse. What do you think? Is Little Red Riding Hood a problematic relic of the past, or does it still have value for modern audiences? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into fairy tale controversy, hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning the stories we tell.